Hello, Triumphant TV. Welcome back. Welcome back. We greatly appreciate you tuning in. Today is going to be a fun-filled and fact-filled conversation. We're moving over to local government. Those who know me know I'm always telling my people, you have to get involved in local government. Stop waiting for the national government to happen before you start having conversations. It's extremely important that we do these things. So we're going to get into it. So, Councilman Derrick Thompson, how are you today, sir?
All right, and yourself? Thanks for having me.
I am quite well. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. I got to rephrase that. President of the City Council. All right. So we president. We kind of got an umbrella right there. So that we got to deal with.
I'm again, just Derrick, but yes, that's the seat I hold. Yes.
All right. I appreciate you giving me this time greatly. It's amazing that we get to talk. We get to intermingle with the local politicians here, so we can just find out their lives and coming to do a little research on you. You've been here. You're a Mount Vernon native as well as I am. Like you yes. are. You're cornerstone here. This is not just
born, raised, educated, and employed.
Right,
absolutely.
Right, absolutely. So that's going to be great. I'd like to start off all of my interviews with this question or a question like this. And the question I have for you, I want you to really think about right now. Let it resonate in your mind. Your most fondest memory that pops in your head right now. Where was it? What did it smell like? What did it look like?
My fondest memory of the city here, or
whatever memory pops into your head.
Well, my fondest memory while living here was my mom. God bless her soul. She passed in 2019. But when way before Wilson Woods was a waterway park, she used to always take us there, and her teaching all of us, her 4 kids, how to swim. That's wow. My fondest memory.
Nice. So
cool.
and like he said, before it became a water park, it was a big giant pool. We had a lot of fun, picnic areas, like kind of what they do now, but it was just a little different back then. That is awesome. Are you the youngest, oldest, middle child?
I'm the youngest of 4.
The youngest.
When we're around each other, you would think I was the oldest because they make me take charge of everything, but I'm the youngest of 4.
Well,
3 boys and 1 girl.
Well, great. So being a leader, that's what happens. Your leadership is showing up at home.
Absolutely.
That's what happens. All right, team. So, team, welcome to Triumphant TV. This is the place where we do the inner work out loud. It's not motivational fluff. This is purpose. This is healing. This is discipline. This is real life. Being a part of Triumphant means that if you get hit, doesn't mean you won't fall down. What it means is you will rise every time with intention. So whatever you're dealing with right now, let's take a second and breathe. Again, breathe. Relax your shoulders, unclench yourself. Let's lock in. Each episode is designed to inform, inspire, and give you the language that can help you carry whatever you're dealing with right now. So lock in, like, subscribe, and share. So let's get to it. Okay. Let's get into it. So, Councilman.
Yes.
My friend, my new friend, because you definitely will see me around City Hall every once in a while. Let's talk about your young years in Mount Vernon. You already talked about to start off Wilson Woods. That's awesome because that brings me back there too, riding my bike there, and The old stories of the Gremlins. You used to be in there if you go there late at night.
Right.
Yeah, right. So, give me a really vivid childhood memory of Mount Vernon. Something that really sparks your
Well,
your.
my funny you should ask. You know, people talk about segregation and things of that nature. My mom, all of us were born and raised here in Mount Vernon. My family's been here over 100 years.
Wow,
And
nice.
yeah, and my mom used to give us stories. We used to have a house over on North Terrace Avenue, and my mom used to give us stories that when she was a child, uh, if they saw black people on the north side, the police would actually put them in the car and drop them off down by the projects, because they didn't want you on the north side. So we still, we've come a long way, but we still have a long way to go, right?
Right.
So that always stuck in my mind. And then, as a child growing up, I lived in a building, 155 Union Avenue. It burned down when I was about 14 years old. We got burned out of there, but it's rehabilitated, and it looks really nice now. But I started off school at Robert Fulton for kindergarten, and
Right.
from first grades 1 through 6, we actually went from the south side to the north side. So we actually got the bus. We got on the bus at the stop sign on Jackson Avenue, right next to Robert Fulton School, and the bus took us over to Holmes School, because Holmes School was predominantly white back then.
Right.
So we were some of the first black kids chartered to the school, and it was interesting, and then became about 90% black over the years. But it was just interesting, the stories my mom gave us, and to actually feel like you lived a portion of that as well. It was just mind blowing. So those
Right.
memories stick with me.
Yeah, it had to be because wow, I wonder what that sound is. It had to be because growing up as a child, hearing stories like that, that you would be, if you were caught on the other side of town, that you would be bused, cops would put you in the car and bring you back to the projects or something. That's crazy.
Absolutely.
But that's that's the life of just America. That's just not Mount Vernon. That's not,
Right.
I would always say it's interesting how Mount Vernon has Fleetwood, and you say, where do you live? I live in Fleetwood. I live in Mount Vernon. No, I don't. Like, you live in Mount Vernon.
That then see, that's another thing. I had a conversation with one of my friends who lives in Fleetwood, and I said,
Right.
"No, you live on the north side of Mount Vernon." And
That's right.
he said, "I live in Fleetwood." I said, "Okay, do me a favor." I said, "You're gonna go outside. Somebody's gonna knock you over the head, and I want you to call the police. And I want you to wait for Fleetwood police to show up, because there's no such thing as Fleetwood police. Mount Vernon's
That's
going to
right.
show up." I said, so that was another part of segregation back in the day. They isolated themselves and called themselves Fleetwood. So it's still interesting, because some
Yep.
people who live in Fleetwood refuse to believe that they live on the north side of Mount Vernon, opposed to their own little town or village, if you will.
But if we really think about it, right? Like, when we deal with the segregation of America, we could go one town over to Yonkers. They have Riverdale. Riverdale is part of
Hmm.
the Bronx, and Riverdale is part of Yonkers. Riverdale
Right.
is the upscale part of Yonkers. Like, oh no, I don't live in Yonkers. I live in Riverdale. I'm always like, either you're in the borough or you're in Westchester, and if you're in Westchester, you're in Yonkers.
Right. But some
Okay,
people have
cool.
their mind made up. They
Yep.
create their own little atmosphere. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it is funny. It is funny. So, as a child, were you outspoken, funny, observant? Like, describe yourself as a child.
I was always silly as a child. Always eager to learn new things, but always had a sense of humor, and I laugh about everything. It doesn't matter if we're living or someone passed. I find a way to make us laugh through the pain.
Okay.
And I always tell people, we're guaranteed to die, so laugh and live.
Yep.
You
Absolutely. That's powerful. Laugh and live. I love that. I
know,
absolutely love that.
a quiet kid around adults, but when I got around my friends, I was more open.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it sounds like your mother was a fun person, but a disciplinarian at the same time.
Oh, she played no games. If you ask
Okay.
anybody about, they call her Deborah Seawood back in the day. Her married name is Thompson, but
Okay.
she played no games.
Okay.
And all of us have the same mom and same dad, and some of us are night and day. Some of the things that your parents instill in you, they stick, and for some of
Yep.
the siblings, they don't stick. But my mother played no games. That I remember back in the day. You can get whoopings in school back then, and I remember one
Yes.
of my siblings getting a whooping in school, and she actually brought us all to the school. She said, "I'm going through this one time." So she got my sister and I out of elementary school, my brother out of the high school, and we went over right there to Davis, and she caught my other brother right there in the class. She said, "I'm not gonna go
Nice.
through this again." Yeah. So
So
it's always been cool being the youngest because whatever the other three didn't get away with, I just didn't do.
so that tells me that you're smart. That tells me
Yes.
right there that you're smart because one of the things I tell my kids is that um, learn from my mistakes or
Right.
learn from the people around your mistakes. You don't have to go through it, right? So if you if,
Mhm.
if you if you're right there and experience is happening in real time, you might as well take that example. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because mom walking into school and giving you a pow pow right in front of all the
Oh
people
yeah.
with their siblings standing there, that's not that's not a duplicatable role. You don't want that.
Right.
You definitely don't want that. You definitely don't want that. So when did you feel as for being service for a heart for the people? Is that something that happened young, or at what point did you have that?
That was
that
always a part of my life because my mother instilled that in us. My dad was there, but my mother was the one who instilled everything, and she was like, "Listen." She always said, "You never judge people because you never know what their story is," and that stuck with me as a child. And I mean, from family members to friends, we've always had somebody outside of our family living within our house. And she would
Wow,
always have those conversations like, listen, you have to reach back, you have to help people. You don't know what their story is. And if you can be there for somebody, be there for them. If you can help them, but don't you dare hinder them. So that always
nice,
stayed with me. And, I was always volunteering throughout the school district, the city, doing whatever I can to help. Doesn't make me a perfect kid, but it made me a kid who was eager to learn and
right.
wanted to do more.
All right, good. That's awesome. Like, because when to have that, because I'm trying to just map out your path, and it's making sense to me now.
Hmm.
If you have a mother and parents that instill, hey, we're going to help out no matter what it looks like, and never look down on the person who appears to be underneath you. You got to
Hmm.
uplift them. That's a powerful things that need to be instilled, and especially in our children nowadays, because
Absolutely.
we're living this false narrative on social media every day that makes you think that you got to be the highest of the high and look down on the lowest of the lows, and anything could
Right.
happen in any blink of a moment that we could all be that the playing field would get leveled very quickly, very quickly.
Absolutely.
Um, so before the titles and responsibilities, right? There's a story to be the background, and that's what we're building right now. At 8 years old, you started as a
Mhm.
cashier at Big Lou's store on Third and
Yes,
Third.
that
Really, really?
that is hilarious. So yeah, Big Lou's was on the corner, right in the middle of the block on Third Street between Fourth and Fifth Avenue.
Yep.
And I was an 8 cashier, so it was funny how people would come to see me ring up money, or they'll give me a 10 or a 20 to see if their change was going to get messed up. And it never was messed up. Back in the day, funny story, they wouldn't do that today, but back when they were selling Thunderbird from under the counter,
Right, 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 right,
stuff
right,
like that. But
right.
I was 8 years old as a cashier, and it was funny. My mother let me have after school jobs. She said as long as it does not mess with your academics, you can do it. So I was there for about 2-3 hours every day.
Nice, nice. And Big Lou's was a cornerstone. Like that was a spot.
Yeah,
That
he was a
was
staple in the community. He
yeah, he
passed a
was a
few
staple in
years
the
ago, but he
community.
was a staple in the
Absolutely.
community. Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. So let's talk about an 8-year-old working in a store that and I just context for people who are new to Mount Vernon. When we say cornerstone of the community, everybody went through there. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you could be down and out. You could be the top person in the town. You came through Big Lou's. What kind of experience was that for you?
It was interesting. I started off there as an errand boy at Big Lou's. Just going around, whether it was going to the cleaners to get them something. Back then, it was I believe it was the Marable's cleaners down the avenue on 4th Avenue, right next to the
Okay.
beef patty shop. But you came back up, you would buy Shabazz and stuff. So I was always running errands. And back then, the lady who was working, her name was Lynette. I don't even know if she's still alive or not. But she couldn't make it that day. And I told Big Lou, I said, I know how to ring up the register. So he stood there for like an hour with me, like seeing if I could really do it. And that's how I got the job. He's like, I can't believe this 8-year-old really knows how to count and do this register. And it was real. And then people in the community, everyone knows my family. So if you say the last name Seward, everyone pronounces the C word.
Okay.
Everyone either knows someone in my family or grew up with them. So to see the people coming in and throughout the store, and some people only came to the store because this 8-year-old was there, and it's hysterical to me now, but I still
Yeah.
can't believe I was an 8-year-old cashier. So it was a nice experience.
Good. So let me ask you this question: if you dive back into that experience, how has it shaped the man you are today?
It taught me how to be respectful, because actually Big Lou was big on respecting people, and he taught me how to be respectful, how to acknowledge elders as they come into the building to get anything. So it was always a lot of yes ma'am, yes sir, and things of that nature. So he instilled some of the same things that my mom and dad instilled in me, and it was made sure that it stuck with me.
Okay, that's great. Listen, let's pause here for a second, and I want people to
Yes.
understand the community of Mount Vernon back in those days. Right? We have an 8-year-old who's working in a store that has transitions of everybody in the community, and nobody worried about the 8-year-old getting home, being anywhere. So I want you to think about that. How deep, I want people to understand how deep the community was, that an 8-year-old child could be in an environment but still be safe.
Absolutely.
Right? We were safe in the neighborhood. Of course, we had our little, sections over there and over there. We had our little fist fights and this, that, and the other. But you were safe in Mount Vernon. You didn't have to worry about, somebody trying to pick you up, somebody trying to do harm to you, because we were safe
Absolutely.
here. And that's one of the things I would like us to get back to, the safety of the community. Right? Because third and third has always been third and third.
Right.
Third Street has always been Third Street. You know what I mean? The players have always been there. So anybody that's on Third Street think that you're the new player, you're just a pawn, just being replaced by the players that's always been there. But the difference is we cared about each other. There was a code of conduct. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to pause for a second and let people understand that. Your young resume and jobs is crazy. Crazy. You penny savers, newspaper, post office, McDonald's, Home Depot, Lowe's, the Mount Vernon School District. Come on, bro. You put in the work. Let's talk about it. Let's go job by job, and let's kind of talk about that experience.
Right. The penny savers was the funniest to me, because I think we were getting paid like once a month or something like that. It was weird, but you used to just ride your bike and throw the papers into people's yards and stuff like that, bag them, and it was interesting. So it was a headache, but it was a lot of fun, because everybody used to depend on those circulars coming out so they can clip the coupons, go to the store and get what they needed. And, you know, it was cool. I think I was about 12 or 14 doing penny savers.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I was 12.
Okay. Listen, the back in the day, the hustle in Mount Vernon was real. There was little jobs. There was little jobs everywhere. You just have to know where to go to find one. Because I started out at the newspapers. Like I used to do the same thing, run around, throw papers around, and then I kind of finagled the project from somebody. Got the project.
Like I used to finish my routes pretty quickly, and some people used to pay me to do their routes.
Right.
I said, not a problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. If you wanted to work, you had to work. Absolutely. What did these jobs, the experience of these jobs, teach you for what you do now?
It's just being diligent in what you do. You have to want to work. You have to want to do what you're doing, and if you put the work in, it works out for you.
Right.
So it's just like growing up, having those jobs, it just taught you to be diligent in what you're doing and be a go-getter.
Okay. I want to kind of harbor on this for a second. Like you have transitioned to a worker in the government system of Mount Vernon, and you've had all of these other different little jobs to get there, right? What experience has each of them taught you that you carry with you today? Or or is there just one who had experience at one, a manager that taught you something outside of with Big Lou? You know, he gave you a foundational piece of respect people. The same thing was happening at home. Was there another job that you had a mentor or just a culture that you carry with you today?
Just being in the community itself, like I said, Mount Vernon has always been a family-oriented place. So just seeing how everyone is growing up, everyone was always kind to you. If you stepped out of line as a child, they check you.
Right.
I remember other adults, if you stepped out of line, they would beat you and then tell your parents, and then you get another beating. You know, if you stepped out of line and did something crazy. So all of that, everyone just played a major part in me wanting to do something for the community. I never wanted to be a politician. I'll tell you that. That was like the furthest from my mind. I was sort of pushed into politics. You know, I had a couple of friends like, oh, you should do this, you should do that, and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, so in 2019, I just was in conversations with the county and the state, trying to learn how to create the petition format.
Right.
Because they give you the petition format, but you have to make it your own. So put your own information on it. And, you know, I just took it there and did everything myself. And I just happened to win the election because everyone in the community knew me. And my characters never changed. That just speaks volumes to the person. Is whether you met me when I was 5 or now I'm 50. It's just, you know, my characters never changed. Yes, maturity has been there, but I've always been a respectful young man and looking out for people. So the community raised me, the community instilled that in me, and I've just been bringing it forth.
Okay, cool. You've also been an educator, and so tell me about that experience.
So I went to education here in Mount Vernon in 1995. That was like right after I graduated. I became a substitute teacher for a while, and then went and got my degrees and everything, and been in the system ever since.
So you were assistant teacher.
Right.
Got your education.
I was yes.
You became a teacher?
First, I started out as a substitute teacher.
Okay.
And then I teaching assistant. Then I went. I was a SPED 7th and 8th grade math teacher for a short period. Now I'm a crisis intervention specialist over at Edward Williams, which I deal with the behaviors of the students.
Okay, let's put a pin and stop right there for a second because
Hmm.
it's a lot that we can talk about on that. What's your experience been? What's your experience been from when you first began as a substitute teacher to what you do now? What have you seen in the kids that might have changed, or what has impacted you the most in that journey?
One of the main changes I see today, we didn't have cell phones and things and social media when we were growing up, right?
Right,
So if there were any cases of bullying and things of that nature, that was like when y'all saw each other in the streets, or something was happening where y'all went to hang out. But now it's so easy to connect with children, and they can get into so much these days.
right,
So our parents have to make sure that they're diligently curtailing what they allow their children to be a part of.
right.
Social media is not. I think there should be an age limit to when you can log on to social media, because the young mind can't handle it, and they get
Let's
into
go.
too many
Let's
group chats and too many different things that are not good for our children. Also, being on the computer um, for long periods of time messes up your eyes, and also can create mind many strokes within young children, as I've been reading up on it as well, and young children have experienced that. So when we grew up, we didn't have that. Like we had, if you wanted information, you had to go to the encyclopedia, or you went to the library, and the only computer there, it scrolled upward as you turned it. So we didn't have the computers we have today are not the
Right,
computers we used to have. So there are
right.
many changes that are happening now. And the sad part is our young people and some of our old people think that we're in a reality television series opposed to reality. They live
Right.
their lives according to some of the reality television shows that come on. I don't want to say one specific because then they'll say I'm down talking. But those reality television shows are not our reality, and we have to snap out of that and be more diligent in what we're doing with our young people.
We are on the same page. I tell my church members, and whenever I get the opportunity, um, I just did an interview with one of my good friends. She's an educator, and we talked about the damage that cell phones and iPads are doing to children and their young minds,
Hmm.
because it's like social media doesn't give you the opportunity to concentrate on one subject. It puts you through a series of subjects, which increases the chances of you having ADHD. Increases the chance of you not being able to actually read properly because you're not really picking up a book.
Hmm.
Your ability to create is being stifled, especially with, we can move over to AI and these tools. We're allowing these tools to
Hmm.
become more than tools. We allow them to become our mindsets, and it's becoming a real problem. Um, the creators of the social media platforms and iPhones do not allow their children more than a half an hour a day, but we're
Absolutely,
allowing
because they
these
know what harm. Yeah.
right, and we're allowing these things to raise our children. So it's something that I'm 100% behind you on. Let's get these pads out of the children's hands. And as you were speaking, it makes
Hmm.
sense because I read a lot of studies lately on the difference what is happening to us. When you went to the library, you had to go find a microfiche, right, for the
Right.
information you were looking at. Then you had to
Right.
say to yourself, okay, some of what I'm looking for is here. Now, what microfiche do I need next to get to the next level? So you were thinking through what you had to go through. It's not so. It's you're right. It's a complete different um, mindset. It's a complete different.
Absolutely.
You're using, and I'll say this as well. People get confused that knowledge and intelligence are the same thing. They're not. Intelligence is being
Absolutely
is,
not.
is being able to open a door that's now locked, that wasn't previously locked, without anybody telling you how to do it. Right? We're being so spoon fed all this information that we think we're intelligent, but we can't.
Hmm.
We're not. We're missing the point on a lot of, or across the board on a lot of things. And I and I
Right.
and I, I will say this again to the parents that are listening: cut down the cell phones and the iPads, especially from your young children.
But
The
you know
studies
what?
have,
And yeah, they can go a step further with that. Make your kids earn time on these
right,
devices.
right,
I
right,
tell people that we carry these devices every day, and they call them smartphones. And I tell students, I ask them, I say, how are you failing and you have a smartphone? If
right,
we had this when we were in school, where you can just ask Google anything and it pops up for you. And you know how easy our life would have been? Our lives would have been great if we had smartphones. I'm like, they don't use it for what is really made for,
right,
right? I'm like, you
right.
have these because back in the day when we first got cell phones, you either had there were no phone books on your cell phone back in the day.
Nope, nope.
Your numbers on there were either green or orange. You didn't
Right,
have a phone book. You still had to remember. You remembered at least 50 numbers. I can't remember 5 numbers right now because the
right,
smartphones store everything
right,
for you. But it's like you didn't have all the things that they have today. But these kids have devices in their hands where it can help them. If you don't know how to read, you can pull up videos. They're giving you sight words and learn how to read. If you have
right,
mathematical problems, you can pull up videos and watch them right in front of you in real
right.
time how to solve these problems. So I'm like, if you have anything less than an A and you have a smartphone, you need that smartphone taken away.
That's right. That's right. Google University, I tell you,
Right.
Google University got it all. I mean,
Absolutely.
YouTube University. Anything you
Yeah.
want to learn, YouTube in the university
Everything.
got
It's
it.
like even people not knowing how to cook in 2026 and you have the
Right.
internet, it's just unacceptable.
Right.
But
Exactly.
going back to our kids and our parents is I remember growing up, we didn't have a choice. These kids have too many choices. If you're a parent, my mother made us go to church. Whether you liked it or not, you got up every Sunday and went to church. We had
Right.
our church clothes and we had our school clothes and then you had your outside clothes. And
Yeah.
you weren't able to mess them up, right? We went to after school programs, the youth bureau, and things of that nature. There was no choice. Your parents said, no, you're going, and that's that. And
Right.
you didn't like it, but when you got there, you had fun because you saw other kids you knew and they were doing things that were fun. So stop giving, and we have a plethora of programs. What really irritates me within our city, they say there's nothing to do for our kids. And I'm like, all the programs that the recreation department and the youth bureau has for our kids, they have hundreds of programs for our kids. You just
Hundreds.
got to show up. If you have them
Yep.
show up, I guarantee you they're going to have a great time. But they have hundreds of programs. I mean, aviation, learning how to cook. It's so many programs for our young people. So it's not an excuse for them to be on the streets.
So yeah, I'm glad we're there. I'm glad we're there because it's important. And one of the things I say all the time is that, and I'm not going to do any apologies for this, but it's not the children's fault now. It's our parenting skills, right?
Absolutely.
We're more or less worried about being best friends with our kids instead of parenting them, right? I truly believe your kid is supposed to hate you until they're about 22 years old, because at that point
That's about right.
they understand where the pressure came from. They understand
Right.
why you made them do certain things, right? Um, we're too busy trying to trying to be friends instead of being parents, right? Parents
Yeah.
don't mean you have to be a terrible disciplinarian. A parent means you are protecting your child from what you know the future can hold.
Hmm.
So we don't turn around later on going, oh, well, Johnny was always Johnny. No, Johnny had the opportunity to change, but you didn't want him to change.
Right.
And then the second layer of that is we want to be our children. Like you have no
And
idea how it
yeah,
irks
and
my nerves when I'm walking down the street and I see somebody 50 years old with their pants hanging off their butt or them hanging out
right,
on the
that
corner. And
makes
I'm
absolutely
like,
no sense
what are
to
we
me.
doing?
It's crazy. It's
Yeah,
crazy. But we're in the same era. When we were kids, we could not. First of all, we didn't even sit in the same room with adults while they were speaking. You just had to go to another room. And we need to really get back to that.
right.
Because these kids are so grown today because you're not separating. Like my mother was quick to tell us, like we couldn't do things in front of my mother. These kids curse in front of their parents. They're disrespectful in front of their parents. And they don't know the look. Like we knew the look. If your mother or father just turned around and gave you that look, you knew there was something wrong. You had to switch up because it was just not happening, right? They don't know the
Right.
look, and it's mind-boggling to me how parents are so eager to be their children's friends. Yes, you can have a friendly relationship and be
Right.
open enough for your child to come to you with anything and everything. But you have to have that separation. Like my mother was quick to tell us, you better separate me from your friends, because she was not playing it, you know. So certain things you talk with your friends or you friends, and oh please and all. Nah, my moms didn't play that.
Listen, I was between 17 and 18 years old. I was on the corner with my friends walking back towards my house, and my mother said something, and I said something slick because I was with my boys. I lived in the middle of 8th Avenue. My mother beat me all the way home, turned around to her friends, to my friends and said, "You won't see him for a week." And I was 18 years old, and I was doing
Wow.
craziness in the street. But I still had the respect for my mom to understand, like she wasn't letting up. You are my child, and you're not going to be out here wilding out or saying crazy things to me. Like when you said kids curse at their parents, I'm like, I couldn't fathom,
It's crazy
and
to
still
me.
have my teeth.
Even telling a story of what happened throughout your day, and they're using profanity as if they're talking to their friends
Right,
opposed to your parent. That's
right.
just crazy to me. It's like the stuff I wouldn't be alive today if I was doing some of the stuff that these kids doing. You know, it's just mind-boggling to me for real. I
Yeah,
mean, we
yeah.
had to be in the house before it got dark. So back
Right.
in the day, the streets came on in the sequence. So you would see us running down Third Street to get in the house because we couldn't let the dark catch us. So once
Right.
those street
Right.
lights were going out, we knew it was time to be in the house. And
And,
my
and,
mother
and
used to
again,
make this. It was funny, huh?
no, go ahead. Finish your story.
Yeah. No, my mom used to my family had a sound. So if my mother stuck her head out the window and did the sound like "Ooh," the whole block would go in the house. Because they were like, if Debbie's kids get in the house, you got to be in the house. So
Right.
it didn't matter where you were. If you heard that sound, like my family would automatically turn around and be like, all right, we got to go.
It's time to go. It's time to get in the house.
No matter what you
Um,
were doing, if she made that sound, we were out.
that's right. I wanted to make the point as well. Again, you said if the lights started coming on, no matter where you were, you knew it to make it home, right? Again, the streets were safe enough that you could
Hmm.
be, and the parents trusted you enough that you could be anywhere in Mount Vernon and not worry about you because community looked out for you. And you knew, okay, the sun is starting to come down a little bit. It's time for me to start making it home. And again, we have to get back to that. We have to get back to, uh, and we have to get back to where the Mount Vernon, the entire Mount Vernon is one community, right?
Hmm.
Not one side versus the other side, this gang, that gang, whatever. Mount Vernon is community. We got to get back to community. And I'm saying that because there's a lot of kids growing up that need our, for lack of a better words to say, they need our protection. They need our guidance. They need our influence. And you can't really do that if you have a 16-year-old who can't work on the south side of Mount Vernon because he got ops over there. Like, what are we doing? You can't have a
Right.
job because you're having some silly fight with someone else. I don't want
Yeah.
this to go too far left, but it's a reason why I want to talk to you because I want to know, like, what are we doing for Mount Vernon to take care of that type of situation? Those kind of the turmoil, the underneath turmoil that happens in Mount Vernon. What are we doing about that?
Well, the good thing is, within the school district, we do have a lot of counselors within our school district who speak to the kids. We have a lot of outside counseling coming as well to speak to the kids. We have a lot of programs in and throughout the city to make sure that our kids feel heard. If there's anything they're going through, whether it happened
Right,
in school or out of school, they're able to talk about it. We have a lot of restorative justice practices. where if they were fighting or if there was anything going on outside of the building, it could be inside the building or whatever the case may be, they're able to talk about it and make sure that everything is squashed so it doesn't go further. Right.
Okay.
So we have a lot of things in place because when I was a kid in the school system, we didn't have crisis intervention specialists
Right.
in some of our buildings, and now we do. So there are a lot of things in place, but we have to make sure that our families are taking advantage of these services and really do what's best for our children.
All right. Before I jump into the next question, let's back up a little bit. How do we make it? How do we make the parents and the guardians aware of all the things that's happening in Mount that's possible for these kids in Mount Vernon, so they can stop walking around going saying there's nothing for these kids to do?
And it's simply logging onto the website, and you can go to mtvernoncsd.org, which is the Mount Vernon School District's website, or you can go to cmvny.gov for the city's website, and you can see everything that's going on within the city. Whenever they're having programs, it's listed on the website. That's the school district and the city, as well as the library. Everything is there, and we just have to take more advantage of these services while they're out there because they're there. But also, we have to make sure that everyone can read. Some people read because they can read, but it's a necessity for us to read for understanding. And you'll be shocked how many adults can't read at all.
No, I won't.
And so you can put things out there, but if they can't read, they're still not going to get it. So either there's one or two things. Some people can't read, other people have language barriers where they need further assistance. So we got to do a better job at meeting people where they are, not only have things posted visually, but have things that they could possibly listen to. Dial into this number, you can hear exactly what's going on, things like that,
Okay.
But reading is essential. And so
absolutely.
many people can't read. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely essential. Also, just to piggyback on what you're talking about, sign up for the mayor's newsletter.
Absolutely, and the city council has a newsletter that comes out every month as well.
Right, and that gives you a lot of information that you should have on these different programs that are happening, so you can be aware early. I'm just thinking about we have all of this stuff. How do we get involved? Like, do we take it to churches to say, hey, this is the information that we have, and let them just disperse it out?
I think that's a great idea. We talked about that as well because a lot of people do go to churches, whether it's for church service, whether they're helping out, or they're doing any of the schooling programs that are in some of the churches. A lot of our communities are in these churches at some given point, and that information is readily available. I think it is cool. Even when they're doing morning announcements in some of the churches, if they can just give a little excerpt of what's going on, I think it'll be beneficial for our residents with them.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's also, and I just want to stay on this topic just for a little bit because I think it's one of the things that kind of stifle the growth of the community, not knowing what's available with the government, right? So, and that's another reason why I want people to get involved with local government, because there's a lot of assets that can be afforded to you that you're not taking advantage of. So is there also a program to maybe, I wouldn't say kids, but have volunteers go to, let's say, the projects and go door to door and like slip stuff under people's doors, or find out the listing and just put it in their mailbox and have, just so they can be aware of it, like have a representative from each building of the projects to say, and I'm just saying, I'm going to talk about Co-op City. No, excuse me, not Co-op City. What's the buildings over by? Excuse me.
Leicester Towers.
Where's
talking
that?
about Leicester Towers.
Where's Leicester Tower?
Leicester Towers is the projects.
Right. So not only the projects, but the
Ebony Gardens, Centennial
Ebony Gardens, and the buildings that are behind the that's on
the Centennial Homes.
No, that's off of Gramerton Avenue. When you go back, you got those buildings there. What are they called again?
The cooperatives,
Excuse
the
me?
co-ops, the co-op
Yeah,
buildings you're talking about?
right, the
Or
co-op
the
buildings.
plaza. You're talking
The
about the
plaza,
plaza.
right. I don't know. The plaza.
Yeah.
So how do we get this information in buildings like that? How do we get information, because I get it. People who live their day-to-day lives, they're hustling, they're trying to get to work, they're trying to get home, they might get home late. And a lot of people don't know there's so much of a wealth of information in Mount Vernon, especially if we even like get off the kids for a second and think about people who need housing and people who need public assistance. And there are things there's a wealth of things in Mount Vernon to kind of turn the switch a little bit more. Because I see what the mayor's trying to do as far as make this city a vibrant city, just like any other city that we're connected to, right? But how do we get this information out that we're doing a lot more instead of all of this? What I see on social media, the politics, these people are stealing, these people are doing this, these people are doing that. Let's kind of shift that narrative to like, if we become a community that backs the government of what they can do for us, right? You get closely involved with the government. I think when you have the council meetings, I think it should almost be packed out that you have to take it to a completely different auditorium.
Yeah. And it's just mind blowing because in this day and age you have so many different ways to view council meetings and other meetings that go on throughout the city, whether you're in person or online. And the numbers should always be through the roof. You should always see more than 1,000 people participating, especially online, because you can do that from your smartphone, right?
Yep.
So it's like there should always be a massive amount of people out. But people have to get engaged, and I think we do need to speak to property managers of buildings so we can disperse that information to them and make sure that they have an area where they post it. But once again, hopefully everyone can read to get that information. But it would be great for the city to have a number to dial into, and you can actually just hear what's going on for those who are actually visually impaired or just can't read. There's so many different. There's always ways to tweak what you have going on to better serve the community. So that's good when we're having conversations with those who live throughout the community to try to see what we can do better.
Yeah, because information is key. Information is power.
Absolutely.
Right? It's power. Like the people who are worried about, because if you're sitting around listening to other people say there's nothing for my kids to do in Mount Vernon, now you're working moms or father, family. What am I going to do with my kids for the summer? There's 1,000 things you can do with your kids for the summer.
Right.
You just haven't gone to
summer. Yeah, there's a lot of free summer camps. There's other summer camps that you have to pay for. There's free programming through the Youth Bureau. There are jobs for our kids through the Youth Bureau, but you have to apply. And people don't realize when you apply and there are a massive amount of numbers of children coming in, that's more funding that comes in per child as well.
Right.
So then they can better serve more children. So I think last year they gave jobs to over 100 children. But if more children showed up, they can those numbers can reach 200-300 children because you get more funding for the numbers that's provided.
Okay, since we're on this topic, that's great. I'm glad you brought that up. How soon, right, for people who are watching, should they begin looking for summer jobs, summer youth programs? Should they start looking now? Today, right?
Absolutely. Call the Youth Bureau. Speak to Director Debbie Burrell Butler, and fill out your applications. Make sure all your paperwork is in. So then you can fill your paperwork in advance. So you turn all that paperwork in, and when it pops up that positions are opening up, all you have to do is apply because they have all your stuff in there already.
Right.
Like my mom used to say, stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
That's right. Stay ready so you have to get ready. Absolutely. Let's back up and go back to the kids for a little bit. How important is it to transfer for kids to understand leadership begins with service?
How important it is
Yeah,
for kids to understand leadership becomes you can't
begins
be a
with
leader
service.
unless you've been a servant at some
Right,
capacity, right? So the greatest leaders served in some capacity.
right,
So whether, like I told, when I was a manager at Home Depot years ago, I said I had someone cleaning the toilets, and then I had went and put on the hazmat suit and went in there and cleaned the toilets with them. And we're like, "Oh, you're gonna?" I said, "Yeah, I'm not gonna tell you to do something that I'm not gonna do."
right.
Right? So
Exactly.
you have to be some sort of servant first before you become a leader. So you
That's
want to
right.
make sure that you instill that in our young people as well, and let them know nothing is beneath you, and you're never too good for anything. You're never better than anything and better than
No,
anyone. You may be better off, but you're not better than.
that's right. That's right. Absolutely. Um, Public service and stepping into your office. What was that transition from? I know you say you kind of got bullied into doing it, right? And that means that people saw something great in you to say that we need you to fill this void. How did that journey go? And when did you succumb to it? I'm gonna use the word succumb because if you got bullied into something at first there was some resistance.
It was the weirdest thing. It was 2019, and we were having discussions about it. I was talking to a couple of friends and family members, and my sister absolutely didn't want me to do it because she said, people are just nasty when they disagree with you, and they try to, drag you through the mud for foolishness and stuff like that. And she said, "Ain't nobody gonna be talking about my little brother like that." So I don't want to have you be a part of government services. So I had family and friends who did not want me to do government services, but then I had family and friends who wanted me to do it as well. But my sister 100% backs everything that I do, and
Nice.
the transition was interesting because the expectations from people say they want people who's going to be. I told people, you give me your vote, I'm going to give you my voice, and I'm going to advocate for
Right.
you, right? And they want people who stand their ground and also are not allowing other people to dictate what they do. You just make sure that
Right.
you're working to the best of your ability for a city. But those same people, once you get seated, they want to start dictating things to you. And if you don't listen to them, then they try to drag the same thing that they didn't want happening. They try to
Right.
make happen. So it's really weird the conversations that you have with people. And I'm just thankful. I tell people I can't be bought. I'm already sold out, and
Nice.
and it's just I just advocate and do the very best for the community. I tell people all the time it's not a necessity for me to meet them outside of City Hall, because
Right.
what needs to be done is for the city. And I've always been a person who knew how to separate my personal feelings for people outside of what my professional feelings are, right? So even when people are disrespectful to you, you have to say, listen, that's a personal thing. But when it comes for advocating for them within the city, and I do that a lot, I advocate for people who they dislike me and I dislike them because of whatever it may be. But when it comes down
Right.
to the work of the city, you put all that aside and you do what's best for that person, because you still have to advocate for everyone who lives in this city. Whether they voted for you or not, whether they like you or not, you signed up to do a job, and you have to do that job to the best of your ability.
Outstanding. So let me ask this question because it's got to be hella rewarding. Have you ever had someone you didn't like? They didn't like you. You did something for them because you knew it was the right thing to do, and then they came around to your side.
Oh, that's happened over a dozen times since I've been seated.
Nice.
Uh, you know, they said, well, people always told me that you weren't nice and stuff. I said, no, I'm not gonna let you walk over me. But
Right.
I'm a very kind person. I always lead with kindness.
Okay.
But if you act a fool and get out of line, I can show you the other side if it need be. But my lead is always with kindness. I'm just not gonna let you walk over me, talk
Right.
to me any kind of way, and treat me any kind of way. I demand respect, you know. So I give respect and I demand respect. But there's several community members where I've actually helped people stay in their homes. And even though they treated me unkindly. And then they came around, I'm always going to vote for you. I said, it's not to get your vote. I mean, I
Right.
appreciate you voting for me whenever I'm on the ballot. But it's just, I'm in this position and I have to do everything in my power to make sure that you have everything you need. Whether that's helping you stay in your home, whether that's helping you get the services you need or guide you in the right direction, that's my job. So I don't put any of my personal feelings in my job.
That's great because it transitions to the question that I had next. What does that look like, and how does that affect um, what you do when people are in crisis, homes can't pay their rent, whatever, and the answers are limited, and you have to find a source to try to help this person. What does that look like?
Well, I've never been the person to tell people things to just get out of my face. Some people will
Right.
just tell you what you want to hear, so you just try to shoo you away. If I have the answers that they need, I give them the answers.
Right.
If I don't have the answers they need, I say, listen, give me your information. I'm going to get back to you, and I'm going to find the answers that they need. I'm always going to find a way. There's always a way to help somebody. So we
Right.
should never allow the ball to drop. There's always a way to get the answers that are needed to help the people in the situation that they're in.
Do you ever have people that are in crisis give up because they don't think they want to go through the hassles of probably having to wait online, the hassles of having to fill out 18 pages of work?
Yeah, and then you walk them through it. Like I've sat down with residents and helped them fill out their paperwork.
Okay.
Just reading it with them and deciphering the information because there may be words that they don't understand. You got the smartphone, you should look them up. But if there's something that you don't understand, guide them through it because I don't know everything. But if I
Right.
don't know it, if I come across something I don't know, I'm going to know in a little while because I'm going to
Yep.
look into it.
Yep.
So I'm just guiding people. Some people just want the guidance. Some people want to be heard. They feel like they've been going through things alone. And when you just actually partner with them and get them the help they need, the assistance that they need to make it through, some people even come back to me with, I didn't realize that it was so easy to get this done. I'm like, yeah, you just got to get in contact with the right people, and it's the
Right.
easiest thing. But so many people have been trained to just ignore something, thinking it's going to go away, and
Right.
that's just not happening, right? So like I've helped people stay in their homes where they were behind in their taxes and things of that nature. And I said, did you call the comptroller's office? No, because it's this. I called the comptroller's office. You need to set up a payment plan and you need to rectify this so you don't get displaced. And when they do the
Right.
simple things like that, they see a complete turnaround for themselves. But so many people have been conditioned to ignore any notices or ignore anything that's not going their way. And it puts them in further detriment, if you will, because they just didn't reach out. If you reach out, you'll get the assistance you need.
Do you think that non-reaching out is part of shame or not having the proper education?
Well, some people are prideful, and we got to put our pride to the side. When you
Right.
need something, put your pride to the side and get what you need. Some people are, oh, I'm behind on my bills. I'm not gonna let anybody know. If you just don't have it, you just don't have it.
Right.
And we got to put the pride to the side and just get it done. The same thing. If you owe Con Ed, you can't just sit there and be upset. Then call them up and get a payment plan.
Right.
If you ignore it, your light's gonna be off. So not only your lights,
Yep.
so your refrigerator and everything, so your food can't be held. So put your pride to the side and get down in the dirt and do what needs to be done
That's right.
for your life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, let's talk about the concerns of Mount Vernon. What are top line concerns you have right now for Mount Vernon that you would like to see go away?
Our well, some of my main concerns is quality of life. We want to make sure that people love where they live and they feel safe where they live, and they feel respected where they live. But we
Right.
have to instill in one another to respect the environment in which you live. Respect whether you live in a building, whether you live in a house, north, south, east, west side of Mount Vernon, doesn't matter. Respect where you live.
Right.
People say they don't want rats in the city, but you'll throw a whole plate of food into the street. You know, it's like you're defeating the purpose. If
Right.
my favorite pen. Look, I'm having a brain fart right now. I can't remember my favorite pen, but it says be the change you want to see.
Right.
So stop griping about it, and I'll love to complain, but they don't show up for change, right?
Right.
So stop complaining, get in the ditch with everybody, and get down there and do the work that needs to be to ensure that our community stays safe together, to make sure that we love where we live together, and
Right.
everything that we need is here. We just have to tweak it and make sure that everyone respects what's here and do their part. If everybody just did their little part, this would be a better place.
Okay. What does accountability look like to you?
Accountability for me is just ensuring everybody's doing what's expected of them. So if this is your job, I appreciate everyone who goes above and beyond, but do what you're responsible for. And you hold on to that portion, do what you're responsible for, and then move forward. So you can't go above and beyond until you do what you're responsible for. And if everyone just takes heed and do what they're responsible for, accountability is in place.
Okay. So how do we keep that's crazy. How do we keep how do we keep people responsible for their neighborhood? How do we keep people responsible for the little things? Um, throwing your garbage in the garbage can instead of dropping it on the street. How do we instill those little things into the general public?
Well, we started a Love My City campaign about 2 years ago or so.
Okay.
But once again, if you can't read, you don't know what Love My City is about, right? So,
Right.
but just having community, I think we need to have a more community conversations, more community engagement. Everybody's not going to come to City Hall, so we'll have to have an engagement in one of the parks,
Right.
in some of the buildings. And if you just have small groups, you can do some of the houses, same way you do when you're campaigning. Do some of those little groups as well to disperse and disseminate some of this information that needs to be out there, and just educate one another on what our
Right.
expectations are. Like this and this and this, you'll get this, this, and this, to make sure that you know, Mount Vernon is big, yet it's small, but yet big enough to do what we need to do. And
Yep.
collaboratively, whether it's an elected official or a resident, we can get it done as long as we're working together.
So let's pivot just a little bit. How has fatherhood taught you about serving and responsibility?
I, I became a foster parent in 2021 because one of my children were abused in their homes. And,
Wow.
it was a long process. And my goal was to get them with their family. So I got them back with their family in almost a year. So it was around 10 months.
Okay.
But that's I admire anyone who has to deal with a child's schedule.
Wow. Yep.
At Mount Vernon, because that is like trying to pivot with all these things that you want your kids involved in, and then try to do everything necessary for you to do to keep the household running. It's a task, and I don't know how my parents did it, so I don't know how you do it. It's just a lot. So it's a lot. So it really gives you a different insight on what families go through on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, and it's another thing that I'm grounded in, bringing back. It takes a village to raise a child, right? We've got to stop
Absolutely.
with this. Oh, he's just bad. He's just going to be who he is. No, he's looking for leadership. He's looking for somebody to get in the dirt with him and let him know he's valuable.
And
Like
he's also
these young
looking,
ladies,
the
these young
kids are
men,
looking for someone to speak life into them. I'm
right?
going to live up to what you call me, I'll live up to what you say to me as a child. So if you
That's right.
continuously say I'm bad, I'm going to live up to showing you what bad looks like. And if
Exactly.
you start calling me a good kid and I appreciate you, I love you, and start instilling in them the little things. They may have a D in their report card, but reward them and praise them because they used to get an F.
Right.
So every little increment of change and progress, start praising them for that, and you'll start seeing a change in our children.
Yeah.
But be
Absolutely.
careful what you call them because they're going to live up to what you say about them.
They're
So
gonna
if you
live up
say
to
they're stupid, they're going to live up to stupidity.
yeah. Yeah.
So be very mindful how you treat your kids. It bothers me to see when parents scream and curse at their kids. Like I had to speak to a father one day at my school because we had to call him because his kid was given a problem in one of his classes, and he
Right.
got right in front of the school and cussed his kid out and said, "And now you better have a good day." And I sent the kid. I said, "Sit right there in that chair by the security and wait for me." And I went and spoke to the dad. I said, "Dad, you just gave him this for breakfast, and you expect him to function.
Yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
way that he's going to have a great day after what you just did to him."
No way.
So we got to be mindful of what we say and do to our children because they hold on to that, not just for that day, for eternity. We
Yeah.
remember the relationship that we have with our parents and those around us. So if it's a loving environment and yes, you should correct your children, but it's a way. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. It's not what you do, it's how you do it.
Do it.
And
That's
kids
right.
hold on to that for an eternity. So we got to
Yep.
be very mindful on what we give and how we treat our children. Because if they're not getting the love and respect that they want in that household, they're gonna look for something else in the streets.
That's right. And I want to commend you for having that conversation because a lot of people are afraid to have that conversation, right? And right before you interject here, it's another reason why we need our men to show up,
Yeah,
right? Because a man should be able to talk to another man, regardless of what he's going through, to say, "Hey, bro, that was a little out of line. Like, he's that child is not ready yet. That child doesn't have the tools to
capacity
facilitate his
for
day,
yeah,
right? And if you're going to beat him down like that, imagine if he's not the quote unquote popular kid in school and he's getting bullied, right? So now you just bully him. You put him in a school environment where he's getting bullied a little bit more. You put him in a school environment where he doesn't. You've already put him under the guise of I'm not good enough. So if he's having problems with a class, he's not really asking the teacher any questions because the teacher has a certain mentality about him.
hmm
Where are we giving our children an opportunity to grow? And so I appreciate you having that conversation because we have to begin to think of how we dump our trauma on our children. We have to
one
begin to
hundred
think of that.
percent.
100%.
And
We
I
have to
tell
begin to
I
think.
tell I tell parents all the time. I said, think about some of the drama and trauma that we experience as children. I said it wasn't too long ago. We were kids ourselves, and we have to just think about what some of the things that we had to go through and some of the things our peers had to go through. And I said, now multiply that by 1,000, and that's what your child
Right.
is going through. And
Yep.
and our children today deal with so much because we have all these social media platforms. It's easy to sort of harm our kids. If those out there who want to harm our kids, it's easy for them to do that because of these platforms. So
Right.
we have to be the safe place for our children. We have to let them tell us anything without being judgmental. When if you I tell you, there's no such thing as a perfect parent, but if you're an open
Doesn't
parent,
exist.
you know,
Right.
listen to your children and let them tell you anything, and don't just go off the wall and want to break their necks because they told you something that you didn't want to hear. Now, if you
Right.
got to go on the corner and cry to yourself sometimes later, you do that and take your me moment for yourself, but
That's
allow
right.
your children to come to you with any and everything that they're going through. And I say this for Black people specifically, we have to understand it's okay to go to counseling. It's nothing wrong with you if you go to counseling. And sometimes you may need a single session and you may need a family group session, but it's okay for you to go to counseling.
I am a strong advocate for counseling. I had a conversation last night where I told people, well, if you go to the doctor once a year for just a general checkup, and you never check your mind, you never check your
Right.
thoughts, you never ask the question, where do I get these thoughts from? You're not really doing anything. You think you're working on the body, right? But if the mind is cluttered with trauma and things from the past that you're holding on to and that you're mad at and weight that you're carrying, it's going to affect your body. You will go to the hospital and the doctor will say, well, there's nothing wrong with you, but you're having heart palpitations, your blood pressure is high because you're stressed out of all these things you're holding on to. So I advocate fully for somebody to sit down with somebody at least once a year and just have a conversation. And
Absolutely. But
most insurance companies,
yeah.
no matter how big the insurance company is or small, will give you anywhere between 5 to 3 sessions for free. Just make the
And
call.
and I encourage every parent to go through some sort of counseling at least once to see if it works out for them. But
Right.
I tell people it is important to take me time every single day, whether it's a half an hour,
Yep.
and you can condition your family to respect those boundaries as well.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely.
There's a point in my day I turn my phones off. I don't have the TV going or nothing. If I need to meditate, if I need to get in my sauna, that sounds bougie, right? I got a sauna. It's off of Amazon. Don't worry. But
Listen, you worked
you know,
hard.
I
You
get it.
deserve it.
You see, and it was only $100 or something, little portable
Yeah.
sauna. But get up
Listen, you
in
deserve
there
it.
and you take it. You have to have me time every single day, no matter how short or long that time is. You have to create that and make sure that everyone respects your boundaries so you can get that peace of mind.
That's right.
You can't be good to others unless you're good to yourself. So you have to have that me time for you to recuperate from whatever you went through. Because you can't be there
That's
for
right.
your kids unless you've been there for yourself.
Absolutely. So as we get ready to wrap this up, again, I appreciate your time. I look forward to talking to you some more
Absolutely.
as the year progresses, because there's a lot of things that we need to do, and wherever I can help out, I want to be there to say, hey, Tone, I need you to go do this, and we sit down and talk about it, and I can go out and help do these things. What would you say in 3 areas? Education. How would you fix if you could snap your fingers and have it all be perfect? Education, overall community engagement, and crime. How would you handle those 3 things in Mount Vernon?
Overall, we have to put best practices in place for all, right? You have to make sure that our education system, we have to instill things in our children and in our staff members that are going to be beneficial for both, right? Because we
Right,
give so much to the children, but we don't make sure that our staff is okay, right? We have to make sure that the staff members are getting the services they need as well, because the bulk
right,
of the day in many schools, the bulk of their day is dealing with behavior issues. And if families just did their part, you hold down the family side, we'll hold down the school side, but there needs to be accountability for anything that our children do that's out of line with what our expectations are, right?
Right.
So all of it starts in the home, but it continues on in the school, and we have to make sure that we're all working together so it's not a pipeline from school to prison.
Yep.
And
Yep.
we have
Because
to
that's
we have to ensure that we encourage our children to do better and encourage our young adults to do better.
yep.
And we have to do I always preach togetherness. We have to do everything together to ensure that everyone feels seen, everyone feels heard, and everyone feels cared about. And we'll see a major difference within the city and in every capacity. It doesn't matter whether it's on our streets, in our schools, anywhere. You're going to see a difference if we continue to collaborate and do the very best we can.
Yep, absolutely. You're 100% positive about that. So you would take all three of those things and put the accountability factor in each one of them?
Absolutely. And like
Okay.
I say, everything starts at home. We got to make
Yep.
sure that we hold ourselves accountable as parents to do our part. What really bothers me, because I've gone to a lot of funerals and I've preached a lot of funerals. That's something under my belt as well. And
Nice.
what really bothers me is when we see some of our young people and young adults who may have had issues throughout their lives, and us as family and us as friends, we never try to help them correct these behaviors, but we laugh and we egg things on. And then when they actually die, they were killed or committed suicide, we stand up and say, oh, they were good and they were just about to do this and this. They were
Right.
just about to.
Right.
We got to start calling a spade, and fixing what we can.
Yep.
We can't heal if we're hiding hurt.
That's right.
And the
Absolutely.
saying is hurt people hurt people. We have to fix what's hurting us individually. And it all starts at home. Make sure that we're fixing the hurt. We're done with the days that what happens in this household stays in this household.
Absolutely.
Fix the hurt that's in that household
That's
and
right.
get the help we need so we don't have our young people dropping out of school and going to prison and making decisions, because we're all one bad decision away from either jail or the grave.
Woo.
It's
Let's
just
go.
one bad decision. So we
One
got if
bad
we can
decision.
prevent that from happening, we have to have those conversations and be adamant about change.
So let's do this then. And I've always thought about this as well. How do we educate the parents who, for whatever reason, weren't educated prior?
We can have parental classes in place.
Okay.
But once again, if we're going to do something like that, we have to condition people to put their pride to the side.
Right.
Because you can't tell me nothing about a parent and I got 10 kids. You being a
Yeah.
parent,
Yeah.
and so many people
Yeah.
like, you can't tell me nothing. I know everything. And if you
Right.
think you know everything, that's part of the problem.
That is part of the
Right?
problem.
Because
Absolutely.
as a grandparent, you say you gotta learn something new every day. And
That's right.
that holds true because I've really learned something new every single day. And
You have to.
never
You
get
should.
in a spot where you think you know everything, and never get in the spot where you think you can have a teachable moment. You should
Right.
live your life as a student, always
That's right.
ready to sponge and absorb information.
Stay curious. Stay curious about life. Stay curious about life.
Absolutely.
All right. So as we close this out, what's next for you? Right? What's next for you? Like, uh, we going for the mayorship? Are we going for like what's the ultimate goal for you? Uh, for Mount Vernon politics, what's the ultimate goal for you?
My goal is, like I said, I never want to be in politics.
Right.
I say I'm not a politician. I'm a peopletician. I just
Nice.
love to make sure that our people are being taken care of. You know, my saying is always, I'm not perfect, but I'm productive.
Right.
And you know, I see myself as just a councilman who is just staying there to do what needs to be done for the city, making sure that we have protocols in place. So when all of us are long gone, we have protocols and procedures for people to follow so our community does not get taken advantage of and it's not just a free for all. So that's what
Nice.
I've been doing since I've been seated since 2020. And you know, I run for reelection next year in 2027.
Okay.
But it's important to me, being that I was born, raised, educated, and employed here, that we have best practices and procedures and protocols in place. So we'll continue to do the very best for our community. So, do I see myself running for mayor? I don't see that in my future as of now.
Right.
Things may change over time. Who knows? But that's not my goal. My goal was to be a legislator, and you know that's the city council branch, the
Right.
mayor executive branch. So we actually make the rules as legislators that the executive branch have to carry out. So
Nice.
it's not always about making laws, but it's making sure that the laws that we have on books at this time are carried out. So our protocols and procedures are being carried out every day.
Great. Great. Brother, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I'll say it again. I appreciate you. I know you got a busy
Thank
schedule.
you.
So I am grateful for you taking a call. Come on Triumphant TV so we can chop it up a little bit. Like I said, you will be hearing from me and talking to me a lot more because I am, even though I wasn't born here, I am a native son. I am a native
Well,
son
you've
of
been
Mount
here
Vernon.
long enough to know Nichols School, so we'll consider you born here.
Yes,
When you
sir.
say Nichols to people now, they're like, "Where's that?"
Right, exactly, exactly, exactly. So again, anything you need, just reach out and I'll try to help as best as possible. Um, again, brother, thank you
Likewise,
very much for this
I'm
interview.
always
And
available. I love having conversations with community members. You know, for them to pull information from me, I pull information from them, and see what we can do to make sure that we're doing the very best for our city.
all right, great. And I'll put all your information as far as how they can reach you at City Hall. So
Mhm.
if they have ideas of what they can do in the community, like somebody might call up and say, "Hey, I'm retired. I can go door to door in the buildings and make sure people get this information." Then let them come on because we also need volunteers for the community. That's it's another way for the community to thrive. We can't just sit back and wait for the government to do something for us. We have to be part of that. We have to be a part of that change, as we spoke about earlier.
Absolutely. So before we go, I just want to give you this information. We do have a housing fair coming
Yep.
up on April 16th, which is next Thursday at 6 p.m.
Uh-huh.
At Mount Vernon Public Library, headed by Councilwoman Cynthia Turnquist Jones. And you know, that's near and dear to my heart as well. I started doing that in 2020, end of 21, going into 22, just to
Okay.
ensure that our residents are prepared to become homeowners, fix their credit, and things of that nature. So that's a free seminar there. So make sure y'all get to that fair and get that done. And then we also have another one, which is going to be May 14th, which is a Thursday as well, home ownership seminar, and that's going to start at 6 p.m. as well, right at
Okay.
City Hall in the City Council chambers on the second floor. And once again, it's
Nice.
free for all of our residents, so you can see there'll be information for those who would like to purchase a home, whether it's a co-op, condo, or a house. There's credit repair information, and there are things just to gear you up and get you ready. And if you have questions, bring your questions so we can answer your questions as well. But we want to make sure that our residents have information to further assist them.
All right. Fantastic. Looking forward to all of that. All right, my friend. Triumphant TV, my Triumphant TV family. Like I told you, always I'd bring you the best, the brightest, the latest, the greatest, those who are helping the community, not just pretending to be a part of the community. Councilman is a native son, born, raised, and serving the community. So you too can do the same. We will talk to you later. Have a fantastic day. Signing off. Thank you for joining us one more time.
Thanks again. Take